his wife unto him, doesn't thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speakest. What shall we receive? Good at the hand of God, and shall not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. Just for a thought. That's not what I meant. I was under pressure. That's not what I meant. I was under pressure. You look at somebody and say, I done said some things that I did not mean. Look at somebody else and tell them, I done said some things that I did not mean. As you take yourself and say, I know I done said some things that I did not mean. Let's see what God has for us today. Today I want to talk about being under pressure. Do we have anybody that have ever been under some type of pressure? Maybe you're under some type of pressure now. Pressure is defined as a force applied. It's a force that is applied at the right angle to the surface of an object. I want you to know today, you are that object that Satan is applying force to. See, there's a difference in being under periodical pressure than being under persistent pressure. See, when you're under periodical pressure, it's like every now and then, no normal pressure, normal things. We expect some things to happen every once in a while in our life. We understand that we're going to have some ups and we're going to have some downs. We understand that that's just natural life. That's how it happens. We can deal with that type of pressure. There's interval pressure. But persistent pressure, continually firm in spite of difficult or opposition that you might have. See, that persistent pressure, that continued pressure, means things happen on top of things, one after another. The Bible put it like this in 2 Corinthians 4 and 8. It says, we are troubled on every side. We are distressed, yet we are not distressed. We are perplexed, but not despaired. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. We got all these things going on, one after another. Sometimes you say, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Every time you turn around, it's something going on. So we understand that, and it get too hectic sometimes. Job tells us in 14:1 that man that's born of a woman a few days and full of trouble. To the point you pray to God to give you a moment of relief. Have anybody ever prayed, God, just give me a little moment. Just give me a little peace. Sometimes you can be in your own house, you say, just give me a moment. Just give me a break, just give me a second to get myself together. Because there's so much going on, you just need that moment. Need that peace. You ask God to give you a moment, give you a season that you don't have to stress over every little thing that's happening. Just one season. The songwriter said, this is your season. I remember when William Murphy was singing that song, and a lot of times it seems like when you hear that song is when you're going through your most trouble. And somebody said, this is your season. And then in one part of the song say, he's leaning in your direction. And I be feeling like sometimes y'all saying it, but I don't feel like he's leaning in my direction because I'm under so much pressure. I got so much going on in my life. I can't see what everybody else is seeing in my life. It just don't seem like he's leaning, but he's leaning. Because if he wasn't leaning, then you a bust. You'll be destroyed. This is your season. Because some people have went through what you went through and did not make it through it. This is your season. This is your season. Just one season. I want one season that everything, just for a moment, not everything, but some things that go my way. You ever just ask, because there's something go my way? It seems like every time something happens and you say, can just one thing go my way? You ever been like that? Can just something go my way? I don't need everything, just a few things to line up with having all this pressure on me to get this done. Anybody ever say, I got to get this done, I got to do this? You got so much going on, you got so much to do. You got this going on, you got that going on. While trying to figure out this over here. Can I just get one season where things, just one season where things line up? Now, when things are under pressure, continued pressure, when we find ourselves under pressure, when we find ourselves under continued pressure, things that should come out right don't. See, when you're under pressure, they don't come out in a controllable fashion. When you're under pressure, you don't speak so polite. You ain't that soft-spoken, well-spoken person when you're under a lot of pressure. So the things that should come out right don't come out right. When we find ourselves under continued pressure, things that should stay on the inside somehow find themselves showing up on the outside. See, we know how to speak to people correctly, but when you're under pressure, see, we know what we need to say, we know what we need to do, but when you're under pressure, somehow that stuff just don't add up. See, when you're under pressure, the tone of your voice, the countenance of your face, the movement of your neck changes. What we had control of become uncontrollable under continuous pressure. What I want you to know is that, what I want you to know is that to have anybody, see what I want you to understand, can anybody just admit, just for a second, you ain't got to say it out loud, but can you admit to yourself that some things came out wrong, came out the wrong way? Can you admit that some things came out the wrong way? It's not that you're a bad person because it came out the wrong way. It's not that you're a bad person. It's because you've been going through so much in this season. See, when you go through a lot, and some people might catch you at the end of a day that you done had a hectic day. And they say that one wrong thing or do that one wrong thing to you, and they catch everything. They catch it all. And can I work with this for a minute? I probably won't get finished with this. I don't know. But I hope and pray that God don't let the people that see you in this season of continued pressure, don't define you. Don't define your life, your book, like we do about Job's wife over one chapter, over one verse in one chapter. By one moment of continued pressure. You know that? I hope people don't define you like we define her. Everybody talk about Job's wife over one moment in the Bible. I believe God put her in the Bible and allow us to read that to let us know that we're going to say some things that we don't mean. And we know we didn't mean it, but don't judge my whole life by that. That's why Job said you talk ass, not that you was foolish. See, sometimes you can act foolish, but you're not foolish. You just had a breakdown. You just had a meltdown. You just had a moment in time that you weren't yourself. But that don't define who you are. But I hope God send me people in my life that can see me break down and don't define me by that. Will still say I'm a godly person, that I'm a man of God, that I am who I am. Not that he's nothing because he made a mistake. Okay. Y'all, but we define people by when they make a mistake. Once a liar is not always a liar. God can change that. But we say once a liar, always. Once a thief. We always say once something, they always. But what about you? What was you before you came in? Before you got good, as the old folks say, good and saved? What was you? Are you still those things that you used to do? Are you defined about how you used to have? Okay. I'm going to leave that alone. People still define me by my past. That's been 34 years ago. But they still define me by what I did then. Some people can't let your past go. Pressure is all the way around us. See, we can understand some pressure, see, we can understand the pressure when you got to take a test. Anybody had to take a test? You be under pressure when you take a test? What about the teacher? See, nobody understands the pressure that the teacher's under. See, the teacher under pressure when she grading the test because now she's saying, did I really instill what I need to instill in them? Did I really teach them? Did I really learn them? Did I take the time? Did I correctly teach them properly for them to pass this test? Because the amount of people that pass the test is a reflection on her teaching. How y'all live your life is a reflection on how I teach. Pressure. It's a pressure when somebody say, I seen your memory. Oh, Lord, the pressure. What? Because they... No, seriously. I seen one of your memories in the story today. The pressure. Pressure. Lord, who was it? No, but I'm serious, though. It's pressure, though. It's pressure all around. It's a pressure when somebody got a house that they can't afford, trying to get underneath the pavement, don't need it no more. It's pressure trying to get out of that. But then you got somebody got pressure that they need a house. It's people that is under pressure to find a job because they lost their job. They need a job because they got bills due. But there's people that got pressure that got a job that they got to go to the job, but they can't stand the job because there are people that they're at the job getting on their last nerves. Pressure. Pressure of somebody looking for a spouse, looking for a Boaz, looking for a Ruth. And you got pressure that somebody got one and realized they got the wrong one. Now they got pressure on how can they get out of it, but they don't know what to do. Pressure. Okay, y'all laughing. That's true. See, when you go out there and pick what you want to pick and God don't help you, you pick the wrong thing. You pull up the wrong roots. Now you got pressure. What you going to do? You got pressure because if you leave them, people going to talk about you. If you keep them, people going to talk about you. How can you stay with them acting like that? Then you leave them alone. How you leave them? You didn't even give them a chance. It's about like this couple that was riding on this donkey. Riding this donkey into town. Everybody talking about, I can't believe they riding on that donkey. Poor little donkey, look at it, like it needs some water. So they heard all this, so they get off the donkey. So they walking beside the donkey. Then everybody talking about, I can't believe them. Got a perfectly good donkey. And they walking. I wouldn't be walking if I had this donkey. Then they say, well, they're going to carry the donkey. Now look at these idiots. The donkey supposed to be carrying them. They're carrying the donkey. Do what makes you happy. Because people going to talk regardless. If you stay, if you leave, whatever they're going to say, have something to say. The Bible says, work out your own soul salvation. If it's all right with the Lord, it's all right with you. Don't worry about nobody else because they can't do what you do. Folks just get on my last nerves. That's why we need God to give us wisdom to manage the pressure wisely in our life, correctly, so we don't have breakdowns that can turn down to meltdown that can cause us to sabotage our own life. See, it's okay to have a breakdown for a moment, but don't let that breakdown turn into a meltdown, because a meltdown can keep you there for a minute. A meltdown can make you go to a place that you won't be hard to return from. A meltdown will keep you longer than you want to stay, make you go where you don't want to go, make you do what you don't want to do, until you sabotage your whole life because you didn't handle the pressure correctly, because you refused to get wisely counseling from the godly people that's in your life. Some of our biggest problems don't come from the enemy. Did you know that? Some of our biggest problems don't come from the enemy. It comes from the inner me. Come from within us. That's what Jesus says, not what goes into the man that defiles the man, but what comes out of the man that defiles him. Matthew 15 and 11. Oh, man. I don't know. All right, Holy Ghost. Can I'm going to take a side street for a second. That's okay with y'all? I'm going to take a side street. Like I said, I might not finish this, so I'm going to take this side street. Maybe this helps somebody. There's some things, I didn't taught this in Bible class before, but I want to plug this in right now. God shows us something in the Bible in Genesis on how the devil would show up in our life. I didn't taught this many times. And you know what? Satan continues doing this because, like we say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if this works all the time, he just continues to do the same thing over and over because we have no understanding of the knowledge that God gives us to see and recognize his devices. See, we have the knowledge, but we don't apply it, so we don't have the wisdom. Wisdom is applying the knowledge that you have into practice to understand what you're saying to do. So let me show you what Satan been doing. And he never changed his tactics. See, the enemy showed up in the garden looking like a serpent, right? He showed up in the garden looking like a snake. Throughout the Bible, this is how Satan always shows up. You can go from the beginning of the Bible to the end of the Bible. Satan shows up looking like a snake in the garden. Satan just shows up looking like a snake in the garden. He shows up in your life looking like a snake in a garden. And you may be saying, Bishop, what you talking about? He shows up like a snake in a garden looking like, see, Satan shows up looking like he belongs. See, when you see a snake in a garden, if you see a snake in the yard, you don't think nothing of it. But if you see a snake in the house, whoa, that's a different ball game. Some people leave their house, don't come back to their house. I know my mom, she had a snake in the house, she moved out. She didn't go back in there. That's it, that's over. The snake guy is one and there might be another. I'm done. But he shows up like a snake in the garden. He shows up looking like he belongs. And so you don't think nothing of it. He shows up like he's your best friend. He shows up like he's your co-worker. Okay, come on. He shows up looking like he belongs so you can give him access. See, when you give him access, see, he didn't make them eat the fruit, did he? He just influenced them. So it's your best friend that you think your best friend. So a lot of times our best friends, the people we hang around, influence us. That's peer pressure. The people you hang around always influence you, either do good or bad. And so if he can show up looking like your friend, he can show up looking like somebody you want to holler at, you want to talk to. See, if you really want to holler at somebody, you want to talk to somebody, sometimes you'll try things you wouldn't try. You'll do things you wouldn't do because you want them to be interested in you. And so if he can show up as them, okay, he can get you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. He influenced them. See, he influenced them to make a decision to sabotage their own life. Just let me know that Satan's really not in our way. A lot of times we are in our own way because we refuse to recognize. So let me get back to the text. But can I got it right. See, I knew I was going to do that. But can I throw one more thing out there real quick? Oh, man. Relationships. Did you know relationships give off pressure? Oh, y'all knew that? Somebody said all the time. Relationships give off pressure to keep them together, right? If you don't continue to work on them, they will fall apart. This is why we must have important, significant relationship, meaning very important relationship with one another. Listen, church, everybody is valuable, equal value to God. God sees everybody. God wants every. The Bible says he wished no one to perish, right? But let me tell you one thing. Everybody is not important to you. And you're not important to everybody else. They might act like you're important because of what you can do for them, they can get from you. But you're really not important. They just want to use you. I'm just trying to say, some people want to treat you right because they think they can. Look, some people ain't going to treat you right. You got some friends, they ain't going to never treat you right. You know why? Because they feel like they can find another you. You got in some relationship, the spouse don't never treat the other spouse right because they think they just go out and get another you. They take you for granted. They take you for granted. It took me a while with the help of my wife to understand that we both are important to each other. And we are valuable to each other. And it's going to be hard to find another one of us. But some people don't believe that. So let them leave. And then when they go out there, ask them how it worked out for them. This is why we must manage our life so we don't realize when it's too late. See, I realize a lot of this late. This right here is, I don't get ahead of myself, but I'm just saying, let me go and say this before I get ahead of myself. We got to realize before it's too late that people who mean you the most, people who mean the most to me, they get the least from me. I wrote in here, are you listening, Herman? That's what I wrote in here. Listen, I want y'all to really pay attention. I guess this is for me. I guess what I wrote, are you listening, Herman? I hear you, God. People who mean the most to me, they get the least from me. And the people that mean the least to me get the most out of me. I'm always doing things, but people don't mean nothing to me. And it took me a long time to realize that. I want you to look at your life. Look at your circle. Look at the people that are really there for you. How much you give to them. And look at people that don't mean nothing. It's like you tried to please them more. Focus on the ones that are pleasing you. I had to realize after years that I have been giving my wife my all to people that only love my gifts and talents. I spend more time giving people that only love my gifts and talents more time than I was giving my wife that loved me for me. Okay, y'all ain't getting it. Because y'all get everything in order. I understand. I have to learn these things. I have to learn some stuff. I don't know everything. This is why we must recognize the people who are in our life for us, who add value to us. And not only they add value to us, but we are adding value to them. It should be a two-way street. You adding value to them, and they adding value to you. You shouldn't be hanging around people that only taking from you and can't get. Okay. See, relationships. I didn't bring my stuff, but it's okay. Y'all gonna understand this without it. See, relationships are supposed to be. God designed relationships to be linear. Linear means is a straight line. And then that straight line, it can be tilted to grow 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, all the way up, Now, lust, the linear is like this. Because when you lust after somebody, you doing everything, they doing everything, y'all shoot straight up. But the relationship should be linear. That means y'all grow together at a little tilt. And y'all steady growing. And that's how relationships are supposed to do. You're supposed to continue to grow. But most relationships are circular relationships. Almost every relationship is a circular relationship. Most relationship is not linear. Most relationships don't grow. Most relationships are circular. And you may think, see, in a linear relationship, the closer you get, the stronger y'all get, the more you go to different levels. But what happens in most relationships are circular. So you right here, y'all strong relationship, right? And this person might say something that this person don't like. And y'all go apart, right? But y'all don't go apart linearly. Remember I said relationships should be linear, right? Y'all go apart like this. Know why? Because sooner or later they're going to say something that's going to bring y'all back together down here. And here you go. Y'all back together again. Y'all didn't grow upward because now y'all got to start all over again, right? And y'all build a relationship, and then all of a sudden somebody say something, and the other person don't like it, you break apart again. Years later, y'all meet again. Keep going in that same circle. Your relationship never do grow. Your relationship never grows. It just keeps going in a circle because every time you get it strong, something happens and you break off, you go your separate way, you catch up again. That's how it's supposed to be with God. Linear. You get with God and you start levels after level. And you mess up, stand still. But what happens? A lot of times when you mess up in the Lord, you walk away. And now you got to meet the Lord down here. You in a circle relationship. You still, people in church, why people stay in church? They've been there 10, 20 years, still in that circle motion, haven't grew yet. Because they even take their relationship with God circular instead of linear. Because if you have a linear relationship with God, when you mess this up, you repent. Ask God to forgive you. You stay right there. God replace you. You do your first verse over. You move up some more. You go to the next level. You mess up again, repent. Don't leave. Because when you leave, you hit that circle. I hope somebody got that. I hope somebody got that. Because relationships, I mean, that's how most of our relationships are. And that's why people end up getting divorced, because they stay in that circle. The relationship never grows to the next level because they stay in a circle. They keep coming back over. And so all of a sudden they say, we grew apart. Yeah, you grew apart, all right. You didn't grow at all. I just want to throw that out there. I'm trying to get back. Trying to get back where we're supposed to be at. Okay, let me get back to the text. Yeah, here we go. Job 2:8. If we look at Job's wife, I can say after saying this, she might have thought, that's not what I meant. But when you go through a Job-like experience, anybody ever been in a Job-like experience? See, a Job-like season, a Job-like experience is when you experience something unexpectedly and have no idea why you're experiencing it. See, we have experiences and stuff, you know. But a Job-like experience that you have no reason why. Sometimes we know why we're going through some things, right? Sometimes in your relationship with your kids, you know why you're going through some things. But a Job-like experience means that you're going through something you have no idea why you're going through. You just going through to be going through, and you have no idea. See, it's one thing to be going through something, and you know why, but it's a whole different ball game to be going through something you have absolutely no idea why. Why you are experiencing what you are experiencing. So we see in Job 2:9, Job's wife said something that had people shocked. She said, but do you understand the pressure, the continued pressure she was under and didn't even know why? She had no idea of the conversation that took place. See, she don't know why she was in that situation. All she knew, she was in this situation. She had no idea of the conversation that took place between Satan and God. Let me paraphrase that for you. Let me give y'all what happened. So God having his little meeting up there in heaven and chilling out, and here comes Satan. Satan walk up, waiting there. See, God, he can't just butt in. See, Satan can't do what we do to people. I do it all the time. I catch myself. Sometimes I say sorry. Sometimes I say excuse me. Sometimes I don't. And y'all probably do the same thing. People talking, you butt in the conversation because you got to ask that person a question. Sometimes you say excuse me. Sometimes you try to wait. But sometimes you get impatient. You just butt in. Say what you got to say. I'm just saying, right? Well, saying he can't do that with God. He waits his turn. He has to wait until God speak to him because God is the king. He can't just go in there and talk. God has to recognize him, acknowledge him before he can. And God has to ask him a question before he can speak. He can't speak to God before God speaks to him. Somebody gonna get that. So he waiting, and God say, Satan. Call him by his name. Call him say. See, he used to call him Lucifer. Now he call him Satan. And he can't even say nothing about it because that ain't my name. Oh, that's your name. You Satan now. God, I can change your name. I'm God. He said, Satan, where you been? He said, well, I'm paraphrasing. He said, I've been down there earth watching. I've been here and there watching. I ran over to Hayti, Creditville. I'm all in Dyersburg, Blythe, Ripley. I went to New Bern, Jackson, Union City. I've just been looking all over the place. Then God said, well, you tried serving Job. Have you considered? Have you put any deep thought? That would consider me. Have you really thought about trying them? And Satan like, well, he got a hedge around them. He said, he really loves you, God, because he protected everything that he has. The song said, everything attached to me wins. The Bible said everything was protected under the hedge. His cattle, his servants, everything was in a hedge. Now, God didn't never say that he put a hedge around Job. So that let me know that Job must have been trying to Satan must have been trying to get to Job before God said something to him, and he couldn't. This let me know that everybody in here has a hedge around them. See, we like to praise God when we get in an accident and we don't get struck. We get, when things happen and we survive it. But think about all the things that Satan tried to do and didn't happen because you got a hedge around you. Somebody's covering you. Because some of us are too foolish. Some of us not faithful enough to be covered. Okay. Some of us not faithful enough to be covered. So we got to have other people covering us. You got people in the church praying for the church every day. They covering you. They put a hedge around you that you ain't putting around yourself. So things that don't happen that you don't have no idea that Satan tried to do. Some weapons couldn't even be performed. And some weapons were performed, but they couldn't prosper because you had a hedge around you because somebody had been praying for you. But we only praise God for the things that don't happen that we know that don't happen. What about the unseen things that continue trying to happen? My God. But after that, he told Satan, okay, everything that he has belongs to you, except for him. So, fast forward, Satan go back up there. Same thing, waiting in line. God, Satan, where you been? I tried Memphis and Nashville this time. I didn't went to Atlanta, New York. Hey, you didn't go back to Dyersburg? Nah, you already know what's down there, God. You got them folks in the head. You got to protect. I ain't know you be eating food with them folks down there. I can't kill nobody. I can't destroy nobody. That's my ultimate goal. He said, well, try my son Job again. I didn't try him, God. The only reason he loved you so much is because you protected him. He said, well, I tell you what, you can do everything. I think the most important conversation piece is when he said, you can do everything you want to do, but you can't touch his soul. You have to save his life. You can come at the break of death, but you can't kill him. But then he also told God that if you let me take all his stuff, he'll curse you to your face. Ain't that ironic that he told God that Job would cuss him to the face, but because he couldn't get Job to cuss him, he influenced his wife to say what he said that Job was going to say. Ain't that something? That's why I tell you, sometimes when people come in, they looking like a snake in a garden. And they influence you to do what you shouldn't do. So here you got this woman, right? And one day, not years, but in one day, first thing happened, all the cattle, ox, all get killed. That's her livelihood. That's her way to eat. That's how she make her money. And not only them, but all the servants get killed. Then the next thing, all the sheep and the plants and the crops, all that stuff, and all the servants. And then all the kids, 10 kids. We got people that lose one child and can't even bounce back from that. She lost all 10 in one day at the same time. And then her husband got boils. Can you imagine she watching her husband suffer? I can imagine if my wife had to sit there every day with me when I was in that coma. That's agony. Not knowing. She's sitting there watching him scrape with potter. Scrape his sores. Sitting in ashes. And probably, I want y'all to get a picture of what she's going through. Because she's a woman in that age, so she can't work, she can't do nothing. And every means of money, every means of living is gone. Everybody that she used to talk to, her servants, her handmaids, all of them, so she ain't got nobody to consult with. She can't call nobody. She can't text nobody. Everybody on Facebook is dead. You just by yourself. Now you goes in the house and you might see a little shoe that remind you of your daughter. There go your son's coat. All these things that remind pictures and different things on the wall that remind you of all your kids that just died in one day and you can't even talk to your husband because you don't want to put no more pressure on him. She's under pressure. She can't go out and call one of the servants to help her with her husband because they all dead. And the 4 that was left to tell the story left because she can't pay them. Because what's she going to pay them with? She ain't got no crop. She ain't got no cattle. She ain't got nothing. She ain't got no way to pay them because she don't have nothing no more. That's pressure, ain't it? So she said something that she didn't mean from a point that she didn't even know why she was in. She had no idea why she's under so much. She don't know why all my kids got to die at one time. Why I got to lose everything that I ever knew. Think about if you lost everything. And I'm talking about everything. And all you got is the shirt on your back. No car, no job, no house, no nothing. Everybody in your family gone. Only thing left is the people that didn't like you. Who can you turn to? She's sitting there. And the thing about it, her husband didn't hold what she said against her. See, some people don't hold what you say to the end. He didn't let that define who she was. Because, he got double for the trouble. She had more kids. And so sometimes when you're under enough pressure, you'll find yourself saying some things that you wouldn't normally say. So I don't have time, like I said, to finish all this, but I want to. But I tell you, there's somebody else. The things you done been through in the past that you felt that was going to kill you, break you, God said, I didn't put all that on you to break you down. I did it to make you unbreakable. Now I'm thinking about COVID. God said, if you survive that, then you can survive whatever comes to you. If you made it out of that, I don't know what you went through in your life, but if you made it out of anything that's crazy in your life, then you can be unbreakable. You are a survival. And God put some pressures on us to let us know that we can make it through some things, that we are unbreakable. And you got to realize that you can be unbreakable. Oh, my God. Ooh, Jesus. Unbreakable. If you recover from that, God said, then I will make you unbreakable. If you can recover from what you've been through, then God said, I'll make you unbreakable. When people walk out on you and turn their back on you, talk about you, it won't break you. It won't stop you. It won't hinder you from doing what I called you to do. See, that's why God put us through a lot sometimes, because if we become so fragile and breakable, and then when people leave us, when people walk out on us, when people talk about us, when people mistreat us, we'll give up on God. So he had to put us through some things to make us unbreakable, to let us know that we can go forward without them. Because all we need is him. That's all we need is him. But like Job, most of the time, when you are going through, you're not going through alone. Job had a wife that had to sit and watch her husband after she lost those children. The thing about when you're going through, a lot of times when we're going through, all the thing we focus is on us, don't we? You focus on what you're going through, but you got to realize, like I had to realize, that all of y'all and my wife was going through with me. Everybody's going through. See that when anybody in church gets sick, going through, we all supposed to be going through. If you love them, you're going through. If you care about them, you're going through, because you don't want to see nobody suffer. So every time you're going through, you're not going through by yourself. Somebody else is going through. And you don't know how that affects them. Sometimes that effect can be worse on them than on you, and you're the one going through. You ever care about somebody that was going through? And you couldn't do nothing for them, and it hurt you to your core? I know some of y'all that lost your mothers and fathers and stuff, and they was going through it. I know it hurt you. Either you didn't lose them, they going through, it hurts you. Your children going through, living beneath their means, living like they shouldn't have to live, dealing with things they shouldn't deal with, in relationships that you know they have no business in, but you have to deal with those things, and it hurts you. You are going through, and they don't understand why you talk and act like you act. You will say some things that you didn't mean because you are going through. They didn't put you in a situation that you didn't ask for. But because you are connected to them, because you love them, you will find yourself going through. It's hard watching somebody you love suffer. It's hard to watch somebody that you love suffer. And you can't do nothing but pray. And when God don't answer with the way that you want him to answer, in the time that he wants you to answer, you will find yourself saying and doing some things like Job's wife. You might not say it, cuss God and die, but you just said some things out of your own mouth that you wish you could take back. You just said some things to your own husband and wife, your own kids, your own parents that you wish you could take back, but you can't. But you just ask God to forgive you. And am I telling somebody been going through? Somebody didn't open their mouth at the wrong time. They didn't mean it, but they opened their mouth. They didn't mean to say what they said, but they opened their mouth. And I pray, God, don't let that chapter of your life define your whole life. Define your whole life. Because when you go through so much, Whenever I hear this, whenever I heard it before, Job 1:11, Satan told God that Job would do this if you allow him to take everything. He'll cuss you to your face. When you're under pressure, your thoughts you used to ignore, put out your mind, become more difficult to put off Satan because he has more access to your mind and your thoughts. You probably say, what you mean by that? Anybody saying that? What you mean? See, when you're under pressure, and I'm about to get done. I'm at the end now. See, when you're under pressure, have you ever been in an argument, a heated argument with somebody, and you caught yourself or you cussed them out? You caught yourself or you said the wrong thing to them? You probably say, I could say something that hurt your feelings, but I'm not. You ever did that? You don't want me. I can get back at you. But when you got a lot of pressure, your mind don't register like that. Because the more pressure you're on, the more access Satan has. And those thoughts of putting back. And those scriptures like 2 Corinthians, when it says cast down every imagination, that don't come to your forefront. And so you don't say that. So now what comes to your mind is the influence that Satan placed in there. Oh, I'm going to tell them a piece of my mind. I'm going to hurt them like they hurt me. I'm going to tell them how I really feel. And you begin to spit things at your mouth that you really don't mean to say because you really don't want to hurt them like that. But because you got on so much pressure that you're not able to hold back what you should hold back. You're not able to keep in what you should be keeping in. You're not able to control what you used to control. You're not able to speak in a fashionable manner like you used to do because you're under so much pressure. You are releasing everything that Satan influenced you, not yesterday, not then, but from time before. All these times that Satan that put things in you that you did not release, that you did not get rid of, that you did not bind up and cast out of you. Now these things come to the forefront and come out your mouth. And after you get through saying everything that you want to say to them, feeling big and bad, you realize you shouldn't have said nothing that you said. And when you were feeling big, now you feel about this small. Because you really hurt them and you really love them. You really care about them, but you were just under so much pressure that you broke. I'm really trying to get out of here. I'm really trying to get out of here. So now you're getting ready to give me the thumbs up. Do we have anybody that know what it feels like when you wore out? When you wore down in the spirit? People been trying you. Saying this is going and that's going to happen. And you get to what is called a breaking point. See, when you get wore out, when you get tired in the spirit, when you get wore down in the spirit, you get to what called a breaking point. You get to what is called a breaking point. You get to what is called a breaking point spiritually, that your response may not be as a Christian-like response. I'm really trying to get out of here. But when you get worn down in the spirit, when you're trying all you can to believe it's going to happen, but you wore down. You try to stand, but you wore down. And when a person is wore out, when a person is wore down, you end up entertaining thoughts like Job's wife that the enemy will plant within your reach to get, causing you to be unable to get. Job. Oh, Jesus. Man, you know when you wear out, it's hard to get the scripture that you want to say. It's hard just to keep yourself like that. And you start making some decisions that you shouldn't make. And as I close, I was talking about, remember that spiritual gauge I was talking about in Bible class? Like I said, well, everybody got it one. And when you get wore out, you don't see no gauge, but your gauge is empty. And when your spiritual gauge get empty, you'll do and say whatever comes up that Satan had placed in your forefront, that placed in your mind. And you don't even realize it because your gauge is empty. When you get spiritual low, when you get wore out, you got to replenish yourself. You got to replenish yourself. You got to replenish the word in you. See, you got to know when to walk away. And what happened is that we wear ourselves out with people. And we continue trying to help people. But sometimes you can't help everybody. Sometimes you got to take some time for yourself. My wife says self-care. You got to step away. When Jesus walked on earth, he helped so many people. Then they say, Jesus went up in the mountain and prayed. He had to step away. What we do, we keep trying to help people, until we get spiritual drain. They don't know that you drain, but you know you feeling drained. But you don't want to let nobody down. So you keep trying to help. You keep trying to push. You need to pull back. Replenish yourself for the wrong thing begin to come out. Sometimes you just can't help some people because you got to help yourself. You got to help yourself. You got to know when to back off. Replenish. So you won't be saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Amen.